Well, Steph, thank you for being here and tell me a little bit about what you do.
Oh, thank you. I'm really excited to visit with you today. I run a company called Soul Centered Fitness, and I work with people who are struggling with their relationship with food to heal their relationships with their food and their body and reach their fitness goals. But it's beyond just the physique, it goes much deeper in sort of unpacking and unraveling their food values and the belief systems that they have grown up with. Do a soul transformation and heal their relationship with food and their body and get in their best shape along the way.
Why do you do what you do?
Well, it sort of started for selfish reasons, of course. I grew up as a young dieter. I probably started dieting when I was 10 years old and went on every yo-yo diet possible, gained tons of weight throughout my life and, lost it back and forth, back and forth. And over time, as I tried all of these things, I got deeper into researching and the reasons why we do the things we do, more the psychology side versus just, hey, eat more vegetables. Of course, we all know how to do that, right? And so, as
Well,
that
most
kind of,
of us do.
we all know it's a good idea. And I fell in love with working with other women and the message that they received growing up, which, we all know is usually kind of messy when it comes to food and body and shame. So that's why I do what I do, is I really just want to help clear some of that up for people.
I saw your amazing, courageous, awesome post about the autoimmune disease. Are you comfortable sharing that?
Sure. So I am hypothyroid, and people aren't necessarily familiar. It's one of the autoimmune diseases that really go underdiagnosed in this country, at least, is Hashimoto's disease. And for a long time, I thought that I was just hypothyroid and didn't have Hashimoto's. And the reason for that is because the antibodies, which is just what it is the immune system attacks your thyroid and that lowers your thyroid levels. And every cell in the body has a receptor for thyroid hormone. It runs the show. It gives us our energy, our vitality, everything. Um, but the antibodies, the tests that they use to measure, first of all, is very rarely tested in the first place. Most doctors only run a TSH test, but the levels themselves, the antibody levels, when they are tested, they tend to ebb and flow. So sometimes they spike and sometimes they're low. So it can go undiagnosed for a really long time, sometimes years. So people just don't retest them. They think, oh, I was fine once, so I don't have to look at that anymore. And yet they get medication and they stay sick for a very long time and can't figure out why. I had a doctor that I thought was really good. She gave me some medication. I got feeling a lot better, and my body rejected the medication. And because my liver didn't like it. So my liver enzymes went crazy. Basically, what ended up happening was I had non alcoholic fatty liver disease from my thyroid medication. I'm not even a drinker, and here we are. And so instead of changing my medication, she took me off of everything. I had no energy, felt really bad. And it took me several years and several doctors and a lot of research on my own end, advocating for myself in order to kind of overcome that and get on top of it. And so now I'm well medicated. And I also read other women's labs and help them have good appointments with their doctor so they can ask the right questions and have a more um, time efficient appointment with their doctors.
And then having Hashimoto's, does it kind of help you to really be able to be even more compassionate with your clients and, lead you to doing what you're doing too?
Absolutely. So, one of the things that you will see in the fitness industry is people kind of make fun of other people that say, well, I have, a thyroid problem. Because they're under tested, people are just like, you don't have a thyroid problem. And oftentimes they really do. It's really common to have poorly functioning thyroids. So because they don't understand, or because even if they do come back with a diagnosis, they say, oh, it's not your thyroid is not the problem. Because if you have thyroid hypothyroidism, probably you're only burning just maybe a couple hundred calories less than a healthy body. So it's not that big a deal, right? Just don't eat that Snickers bar and you'll be fine. Willpower. But what they don't understand if they haven't lived it is that it's not just that you only burn 200 fewer calories from a metabolic standpoint, but you're more tired, likely to have cravings because you're trying to overcome that fatigue. And so you're looking for something to kind of perk you up. So you're probably going to overeat. From there, you're more likely to be depressed, which also ends up trying to medicate with food. You get some emotional eating factors in there. And then overall, you just don't recover as well. Your motivation to train and exercise is not as high. It's kind of a, kind of like a snowball effect where people just feel really beat up, and it's an invisible illness. People don't see what's wrong with you.
Do you think that that is one of your zones of genius, to be able to create like a very customized program so that it really relates to who somebody is as an individual, rather than seeing like how everyone, like a bigger picture of like, oh, here's the general population?
Yes, absolutely. That's my favorite part about what I do. I get to take the science and the things that we actually really know, and then I get to take the person, the human, the soul, the person we are talking to, and go, okay, this is what we know to be true. And this is what I know your life looks like today. Can we find a way to take your life and the science and find a way to make them motivated and moving forward? Because if I can throw a plan at anybody, I can throw a list of rules and structures at anyone, but if they can't stick to it, if it doesn't fit what they've already got going on, it's really difficult to just say, this is my new lifestyle. Let me just throw out all my family dinners, all my traditions, all my, sure, I'll just go get a gym membership. I'm not intimidated at all. I've never lifted a weight once, there's so much to consider on an individual basis that we can see some really fantastic results if we look at the big rocks and stop creating so many hard things for people to do and just focus on what's really the big dial movers.
What else do you think makes you unique?
I think that what makes me unique is that I don't necessarily look at fitness rules, and rather I look at things on a sliding scale. And I also take things outside of fitness. Fitness is such a narrow view, right? It's for one, completely undefinable. One person might say fitness is to, lift 500 pounds, and somebody else might say fitness is being able to keep up with their grandkids. So it's about taking a wide view and really focusing in on the individual and how they expect to feel, what the end result they really want and why they want that end result. Not just, I want to be thin, right? That's always like, oh, I just want to be skinny. Okay, why? Why do you want to be skinny? How do you expect to feel? What will change in your life? How will you be a different human? And also, can we cultivate some of that feeling ahead of time?
Mm.
Just when you get to the finish line, but how can we make you feel like that today? What do you have in your life right now that we can really focus on and expand that so that you don't feel so much pressure put on your gene size, so much pressure put on, how you're showing up in the world, but rather who you are and how incredible you are.
That's awesome. That leads me to the next question, which is, what do you see over and over again as like sort of the biggest mistake that people make when they're thinking about their health and their fitness?
Trying to do too many things at once and thinking that small is insignificant. um, I posted an infographic about the compound theory, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with it,
Well, I
but
know what compounding interest is with finance, but is that kind of the same thing?
very similar, right? So small, little plus little plus little plus little, it adds up over time. Maybe you can't, you know, go to the gym for 90 minutes, 5 days a week. But if you can do 30 minutes, just a few times a week, or you can just do 10 minutes a day, when you look at it as the bird's eye view, the great big changes that you can actually make by taking little baby steps, you're going to be much better off. Whereas when I see people dive in, I'm going to count every calorie. I'm going to make sure every macro is in place. I'm going to have, 10 cups of vegetables every day. I'm going to drink all this water. These are going to be my workouts. I'm going to do them all. That's why we see New Year's resolutioners fall off before February even starts, because they try to do all these things that are not cohesive with their life already. It's too big a step, and they just plop.
Mhm. And
First,
even that small little bit, it's like that creates momentum. So you can actually increase on and then make it even bigger as you go along, right?
exactly. It opens up and expands your capacity for change. And then you start habit stacking sort of naturally, right? So if you make a commitment to eat more vegetables, let's say that the only thing that I want you to do tomorrow is to add a cup of vegetables to 2 of your meals, and that's the only thing I assign you, then you're going to eat more fiber, more nutrient dense food. It's probably going to slow you down a little. You're going to get fuller faster, and you're probably going to leave a few extra bites on the plate and eat less. That's a big win. It's a big consistent win. And then you feel better and you go, you know what, I really like this. I'm showing up, I'm feeling a little better, I have a little more energy, my digestion is a little bit better from all this fiber. And you start drinking a little more water, and you start eating a little more slowly, or you start like putting a few extra colors on your plate. You're really starting to pay attention, and those things start to happen organically, naturally, without so much mental effort. um, I always call it toddler brain. Your toddler brain throws less of a fit when it's just kind of a natural progression to, the next thing.
Why did you want to join the Limitless Collaborative?
When I heard about it and I started looking into it, I was so blown away by what was similar between all the coaches, which seems to me like everybody comes from this very deep place, this heart-centered place, this place of service and help. And the fitness industry itself is a very masculine sort of energy. It's very rule oriented, it's very discipline oriented. And not that any of that is bad, but I'm really a heart centered coach. I like some warm and fuzzies with my discipline. And I thought that this was a really great um, energetic match for that. I thought that it was such a beautiful platform to help people with their discipline and give them all the warm and fuzzies and love, sort of as a group. And I also think that it's just really wonderful to address all of those different areas in a pretty cohesive way. It's all for that one goal, which is just to make our client shine and feel great about themselves and just go out and rock their whole world. So
Well, what's one big reason why someone should join?
I think that people should join because it really addresses every pocket of of the things that are going to help them be better. It really there's no stone unturned. It's mind, body, soul. There's something for everyone, and there's multiple things for everyone to improve on and to really get their fill of not just content, but the ability to take action, apply it, and really make a difference in their lives.
Because we can't all be good at everything, right? It's like, I understand money, but I definitely need a health
100%.
coach. Yeah.
And I could probably use some, I mean, I definitely could use some guidance in both money and media and all of the different things that we all offer. I just think it's a really great collaboration. And like I said, a really good energetic match as well, which I think people thrive on when the energy is good between, everyone in the company, everyone that's on this same mission. Everyone benefits from sort of borrowing that energy, borrowing the belief that we all have in each other, and that trickles down into their belief for themselves as well. It's just more energy to take in and move from.